Hello, everyone. Welcome to Insight Sports Talk. Welcome back and happy 2022 to everyone. Thank you for joining us and tuning in. I am joined today, of course, as always, with Ed Cole, my awesome, amazing co host. How are you, Ed? Welcome back to Insight Sports Talk. Another year. It's going to be a great year.
Yes, it is. Good evening, Joanna. It's great to be with you. Happy New Year. I can't wait to get this thing started as we really kick off the new year. 2022 is going to be a fantastic year. So let's get this thing started. Let's get this party started right and go into the year strong.
Yes, most definitely. And we're going to kick it off a little bit differently. This show is going to be a little bit special going into the NFL playoffs. But we're going to go ahead and kick you off with top stories of the week and what's been happening recently. So the top story of the day, just a few hours ago or moments ago, starting off with MLB. The MLBPA has rejected MLB's latest CBA proposal. This is the first proposal since the lockout began December 2nd of 2021, just a month and a half ago, just a little bit over that. MLB schedule has not been impacted by the lockout thus far. However, that could change should the lockout extend into the 2022 spring training schedule and season.
Yeah, we definitely don't want that. So it all depends on when MLB and the union can kind of get back together and continue to go back with counter proposals, because I'm sure the union is going to counter propose what MLB proposed to them today, and we'll just see what happens with that. But we cannot continue to wait too much longer, Joanna, because it's going to affect training, spring training, on when the pitchers and catchers and managers and everybody else can report to their various locations here in Arizona and in Florida. So hopefully these two sides can get this thing together, hammer whatever needs to be hammered out, get it worked out so we can get spring training going, so we can get a full season in, hopefully.
Yes, most definitely. Would not like that. Being a diehard baseball fan, that will definitely not make me happy. Or any baseball fans out there, because we know we want our baseball back, and hopefully that it does not impact our schedule as we've seen it happen in the past. Moving on to the NBA, Damian Lillard will be out for the Portland Trailblazers for at least 6 weeks following surgery to an injury that was causing him abdominal pain. So Lillard has missed 5 games since the start of the year, and he has also missed 11 total games in the season. So we still don't know how impactful this will be to Lillard or the Portland Trailblazers. With him being out, it is an injury that started to reoccur from when he went to the Olympics, and therefore he needed surgery. He had in trouble with the team and was getting evaluated, and now this is the outcome of that.
Joe, that's a really tough blow for a team that's number 10 right now, currently in the Western Conference. As if the season ended today, they would be one in that play-in tournament. So for them to lose their best player, Damian Lillard, one of the most dynamic basketball players on earth, that really hurts Portland right now, as they're trying to keep their head above water. They're one game ahead of Sacramento for that 10th play-in tournament spot. So they need to stack up as many wins as they can, because it's not been the ideal season for Chauncey Billups in his first year as head coach of the Trailblazers. But this is just one of those things, when you lose a guy of that caliber, who's going to step up for the Trailblazers in his stead and continue to keep them on a playoff pace?
Yes, definitely. So we'll see how this evolves, and definitely wishing Lillard all the best in his recovery. Sticking with basketball, the WNBA is just around the corner for the season to tip off here in a few weeks, but it is free agency that is around the corner for the WNBA. Teams have until Friday to make decisions and offers to potential restricted and reserved free agents. And that also includes, of those teams, those that went to the WNBA finals this last 2021 season with the Phoenix Mercury. That would be Sophie Cunningham and Kia Nurse, Kia Nurse's restricted agent. Shea Petty is also a reserved agent for the Mercury. And for the Chicago Sky, that would include Courtney Vandersloot, Kalia Cooper, Allie Quigley, Stephanie Dawson, Diamond DeShields is a restricted agent. So there are a lot of names out there, and this is just naming two of the top teams from last season. There is a list. Go on to WNBA.com, which will you'll be able to see all of those teams and affected players.
Yeah, Joe, you mentioned all of those ladies. They were instrumental in getting the Sky and the Mercury to the WNBA finals. And were it not for those young ladies and their efforts throughout the season, Joanna, those teams may or may not have gotten to the pinnacle of the WNBA season. So it would behoove the Mercury and the Sky to do whatever they can to try to re-sign those young ladies, because they are outstanding athletes, and they would continue to make both of those rosters great as the Sky continue to try to make a repeat as WNBA champions. And the Phoenix Mercury, of course, would like to get back there and win another championship. It'd be their fifth. Would it be their fifth, Joe?
It will be the first run
Yes.
to WNBA finals. Yes.
Okay.
So there are a lot of great names out there that would be potential up for free agency. So that includes with the Las Vegas Aces, the Sparks. There's a lot of caliber players out there. I just named a few which were very key and important players for these two teams in WNBA finals. So if they don't act soon, quickly, they're going to be out for grabs, and who knows who can grab them and just revamp their team.
Absolutely, Joanna. Those talented young ladies of those caliber and how they play basketball, they won't last long. If you mentioned all the teams that have those ladies that play at a high level, they better sign them. Otherwise, somebody else will, as you mentioned, come in, scoop them up, and they will gladly add them to their roster.
Yes, most definitely. Now moving on to the NFL. And this is not so exciting news, or maybe for some, who knows? But I want to go ahead and go into the NFL doghouse real quickly. So what this NFL doghouse is, Ed, as I named it, are those teams who decided to part ways with their coaching staff, whether that was a head coach or even GM. So here's a list of those that were affected and decided to go ahead and part ways with their parties. That includes the Houston Texans decided to fire head coach David Culley after one season. That has been the news of the day just a few moments ago. That was announced earlier today. The New York Giants decided to say goodbye to Joe Judge after 2 seasons with the team. Chicago Bears, our wonderful fan and great friend, PLR. I know he must be having a woo of emotions going through with Matt Nagy no longer being the coach for the Bears. And also GM, general manager Ryan Pace, has also left the team. And this is after the team finishes 3rd in the NFC North. The Miami Dolphins, Brian Flores, decided to part ways after 3 seasons. Minnesota Vikings, Mike Zimmer, and GM Rick Spielman have also left the team for the Minnesota Vikings. Denver Broncos parted ways with Vic Fangio after 3 seasons with the team. So, and that list just continues to grow.
Yeah, and it potentially could add the Las Vegas Raiders. You could put the Raiders in the mix. We don't know if Rich Bisaccia is going to remain, or will they make him? They'll remove that interim tag as the head coach, Joanna, and offer him that position. Or, of course, Jim Harbaugh's name has been bantered about as him potentially returning to the NFL. Is he interested after Michigan made a run at that college football playoff? Is he interested in going back to the National Football League, Joanna? And if so, Las Vegas will be one of those ideal destinations. They would love to bring in a guy with that namesake, the last name Harbaugh, Jim Harbaugh, what he's done at the University of Michigan. They would love to have him as the head coach out there in Sin City in Las Vegas. So we'll see how that works out. But it's always, whenever you come around on Black Monday, you're just kind of waiting for the dominoes, for the chips to fall, and what coaches are going to be let go. What general managers, as you mentioned, Ryan Pace, one of the general managers that was let go. I believe the Giants general manager, he retired, among a couple other GMs who were either let go or they retired. It's just one of those revolving doors, Joanna. These teams, there's always a handful of teams that lose head coaches and general managers. It's just part of the business.
Definitely, it is sadly part of the business, but business does move on. Football does move on. And talking football and moving on this weekend. Very excited weekend. It's full of football, and it is what is being called the NFL Super Wildcard Weekend. And with that note, let me go ahead and bring in our amazing friend, veteran player for not only NFL and played for multiple teams, but also MLB player, veteran player, Ed Smith. Hi, Ed. Welcome. Thank you for coming in and joining us as we talk the Super Wildcard Weekend for the NFL. I'm very, very excited. I know you are.
Joanna, Ed, two of my most favorite people. Haven't seen you, Ed, to start the new year off, so I guess it's still appropriate. I know it's the 13th, but I can say Happy New Year to you, bro. So
My brother.
Happy New Year to you too.
Happy New Year, brother.
Joanna.
Thank you, Ed. Happy New Year.
Thank you. Really exciting time of the year. I'm sad because the regular season is over, which means that's like going to a buffet when you have 16 games. Now we're down to a single course meals with the playoffs. So, but it's all good.
Yes, I'm very excited. I have so many emotions going through me, and I just do not want to see a repeat. Although as awesome as it may seem, well, there's two: the Arizona Cardinals and the Green Bay Packers, and then seeing the Green Bay Packers face off with TB Tampa Brady. I'm gonna call him Tampa Brady, Tampa Bay, Tom Brady.
I mean, the cool thing about this playoff scenario is because we have so many different and new teams. I think it was 7 teams in there that weren't in last year, and obviously we had the extended version with the extra wild card. But I just think the matchups are going to be so cool, that we're going to see some matchups I don't think we even planned to see, and the contradicting styles of football that some of them have is going to be really kind of interesting, to see how everybody matches up moving forward here.
And
yes,
Joanna,
Ed.
Joe,
Go ahead,
I know you're going to talk about this, but there's quite a few, at least this weekend, there's quite a few matchups. There's at least 1, 2, 3. If I'm looking at it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the 6 games this weekend, these two teams in those games have met each other during the regular season. So these are rematches of previous games during this 18-week season.
Yes, there are. You guys mentioned it right there. Now on a coffin. There's a second consecutive season where we have 6 teams, and there will be 6 games, and then also 7 of the 12 teams this playing weekend are new to the postseason, like you mentioned, Ed Smith. So there's a lot of action, a lot of newbies coming on. We have some rematches here. I forgot the number, but I think maybe 5 of the 6 matches are rematches from the regular season. We also have the Rams as well, who are returning to this type of scenario and we'll be highlighting on a wild card. So there's a lot of new scenarios happening. This is one of the games that we see since 1988 with the Monday night wild card leading off to a Super Bowl. So there's a lot of wildness, as I will call it, as we kick off this NFL playoffs.
And Ed and Joanna, the National Football League does it. They do it like nobody else. They know how to market their product. They will stretch this first wild card weekend over a 3-day period, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, because they know they are the kings when it comes to sports. Everybody will tune in no matter what day you schedule these games.
Absolutely. And I was talking to Javon on the Leave podcast earlier, and he asked me as a player, would you like this? Play on a Monday. I was like, man, you don't have no choice. And it's all about money when it comes to the NFL. They know what they're doing. They're going to take over Saturday. They're going to take over Sunday. And now we got a piece of Monday. And, I mean, that just means more money, more money, more money. Yeah. So, I mean, it is what it is. You said it perfectly. They know what they're doing. I mean, this is their window, and they're going to take control of it. And we're going to watch it. Just like, trained SEALs. They throw the fish in the air and we get it and we clap and we want some more.
That's right.
But you know what else, Ed? They're not only taking over that, but they're also taking and hijacking my weekend, my schedule, because now I have no other choice but to tune in and to watch and actually readjust my schedule around the NFL. Not me readjust, not the other way around.
Not the other way around, yeah. Exactly.
So, and just to name off what the matches will be for this weekend, on Saturday, we have 2 games. That's AFC teams will be playing. We have starting off with Las Vegas Raiders. Will be playing and facing off Cincinnati. And we have AFC, New England Patriots, and Buffalo Bills. That will be the night game. On Sunday, we have 2 NFC teams, 2 NFC matches and 1 AFC match. That's Philadelphia Eagles, and we have Tampa Bay, or Tampa Brady, as I call it. We have the San Francisco 49ers and the Dallas Cowboys following that. And to close out the night for Sunday, we have Pittsburgh Steelers and Kansas City Chiefs. And for Monday, we have NFC action going down with the Arizona Cardinals and the Los Angeles Rams, which I will be watching with my eyes closed.
Yeah, that'll
so
be
which of these are you guys more excited to watch? Go ahead,
brother Ed.
Paul.
Oh, me? Okay.
Go ahead, Ed.
Oh gosh, let me look at these things. They're all great matchups, phenomenal matchups. What really sticks out to me is obviously, for me, it's that Raiders Bengals game, because we remember back in November, Cincinnati went out to Las Vegas and rolled the Raiders that day. Joe Mixon, third leading rusher in the league. He had a big game that day, 2 touchdowns, 123 yards rushing. And it's great to see the Cincinnati Bengals back in the playoffs, Ed and Joanna, one of those teams that are making an appearance for the first time in a long time. So I want to see what Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, who could be the rookie of the year based off what he did this season. That kid was phenomenal. What can Cincinnati do in their first playoff game in a long time? Will the lights be too big for Burrow and his guys, or will they step up and knock off the Las Vegas Raiders? For me, that's the one that really sticks out to me. And of course, Cardinals Rams on Monday night. From a local perspective and from our hearts, we're all going to be tuned into that with bated breath. Like Joanna said, I may be like that too, kind of like a one eye, kind of cockeyed, like, okay, what's going on here? Is this I don't know. But yeah, for me, it's Raiders Bengals. I'm looking forward to all 6, but Raiders Bengals, that Saturday afternoon game is kind of one that's kind of like blipping to me right now. It's kind of shining like, ooh, definitely tune into that one.
So I don't pick the same one as Ed, because I was right there with you, Ed. Raiders Bengals is very intriguing. I'm going to go another route here. 49ers Cowboys. Yes. After watching how the Rams got just deboed, and I'm not just talking about Debo on the field. It was like watching Friday the movie. They got deboed by the Rams, they deboed the Rams in the second half of that game. They are a scary team going into the playoffs, because they're now playing what I would call their best football. And this is when you want to be doing it. Unlike the Cardinals, we're kind of limping and backing our way into this thing. 49ers, they've already played a playoff game. It was win or in this past week. So they're already in desperation mode. And the way they manhandled the 49ers in the second half of that game, I'm going to look at the contradicting styles, the conflicting styles here. The Cowboys like to do everything all smooth and, and delicate sometimes and stuff like that. If the 49ers go over there in there and kind of push them around a little bit, this could be a 49ers win. And right now, other teams, especially the Rams, do not want to see those dudes. And like I said, that for me, that's like going to be that's the one. Get your popcorn ready. I'm going to be sitting down for that one just as tough as I will any other game, because I'm going to want to see these. Like I said, if the 49ers can go over there and push Dallas around, we might be done with them pretty quickly.
Yeah, it's really hard for me to pick one. I'm with you, both of you, Ed and Ed, but I do as much as it will pain me to watch this game is the Cardinals and the Rams. Because the Cardinals had a chance to win on Sunday. They didn't, unfortunately, and be able to go ahead and face off the Dallas Cowboys and be in a little bit of a sweeter spot. And get on top of the Rams. Unfortunately, that didn't happen the way we saw the Rams play against, like you mentioned, Ed Smith against the 49ers, and then what they were able to go ahead and put out there and pretty much tear them apart. So I'm really, right now it's kind of pretty leveled out, and seeing who's going to be the winner there and who's going to come out on top to go ahead and move on. But then also I'm excited for Jimmy. I want to see Jimmy in his, postseason appearance facing off the Cowboys, Dak Prescott after his return from that gruesome injury last season too. So there's just a lot of excitement and just I don't think you will go wrong any which way or team that you decide or game to watch. And then one of the things too that it's exciting is with the wild cards, there's always someone new that goes ahead and advances. Like we having the worst team in the record going into the playoffs, or in a wild card going and advancing and maybe winning the Super Bowl. That's what it's exciting to me. And I don't know if it possibly might happen again.
Joe and Ed, I want to talk Patriots Bills because I'm intrigued by this Mac Jones and Josh Allen kind of matchup there up in Orchard Park. But going back to that San Francisco game, Ed, they have to have supreme confidence. As you mentioned, they were down 17-3 at the half. They were down 17-0 at one point in that game, and it didn't look good for them. I mean, their backs were completely against the wall out there at SoFi, but they turned that thing around. Whatever halftime adjustments they made, Ed, the Rams were 45-0. Under Sean McVay when they led at halftime. They had never lost under Sean McVay until just a few days ago against San Francisco, but they held that Rams offense to under 300 yards of offense. And we know how explosive that offense is, Ed and Joanna. So if they can replicate that in Arlington this weekend, then they got a really good shot of beating the Cowboys.
Well, I think you guys are both fight fans, and you know that old saying, styles make fights. And I think what happened with the 49ers at halftime, they had to go into that locker room, and Shanahan had to have probably a coming to Jesus meeting with those dudes. This season is over if you guys continue to play like this. 49ers football is, hey, we're not going to dance around the ring, jab, jab, jab. We're going to try to corner you or get you in the middle of the ring, and let's just have a slugfest. And that's exactly what they did. They got into the middle of the ring with the Rams. The Rams were kind of just, like dancing around. And hey, like I said, San Francisco made that an ugly fight, meaning they got really, really physical. That's how they play football. The Rams don't necessarily like to play. Here's the thing. The Rams can play like that when their backs are against the wall. I don't think they felt like their backs were against the wall in that game, because obviously they'd already had the playoffs wrapped up in terms of qualifying. They could have improved or stayed in the 3 spot. They didn't. But like I said, San Francisco was fighting for their life, and they made that an ugly center of the ring or get you in the corner and just beat the hell out of you fight, and that's why they won.
Yeah, they knew it was do or die, right, Ed? If you don't come out on top, if you don't have a bigger score than your opponent after 60 minutes of football, your season's over. You're going back to San Francisco. You're going back to Santa Clara. You're packing your stuff up, and you're done for the offseason.
And that when you have that opportunity, and it does, like, think about this, both of you. How sick are the Indianapolis Colts right now?
Oh.
Their players. You literally just dribbled down your pants in front of a crowd of people, and you got the whole wet spot just right there in front of you. All you had to do was go to Jacksonville, of all places, and they could have done it the week before, but you got a second chance. Go to Jacksonville, handle your business. Everything else is, we're getting to the second season. Whatever happened the week before, forget about it, because we're in the playoffs. They went over there, laid down. Your season is over. And when I say it, I've been there before when, hey, man, all we got to do is, and all of a sudden it's over. And it's like, wait a minute, what just happened? And that's exactly, that feeling is sick. When you're in the locker room getting undressed for the last time for that season, and now, it's like, well, everybody else, the teams that play, they're going to be playing playoffs next week. We're going home, and we could have done better than that. And that's exactly, like I said, San Francisco was faced with just that, being down 17-0. And them dudes in that locker room, and along with the coaching staff, they came out and they were like, oh, no, it's not ending like this. And like I said, that was impressive.
Yeah, this is the San Francisco 49ers I expected to see a while back, and I'm glad, it came at the right moment, and we're able, especially with Jimmy, being able to capitalize on that. And I hope he's able to take the team far. I'd rather have San Francisco. I think. Hopefully I don't regret saying this over the Dallas Cowboys.
But Joe, he's got.
But I want to ask you.
He's got a wealth of
talent.
Jimmy Garoppolo has a wealth of talent. Elijah Mitchell, one of the really good upcoming rookie running backs. He had a outstanding game against against the Rams. He had 85 yards rushing. He's got Brandon Ayuk, Deebo Samuel. He's got some talent to hand the ball off to and throw the ball to. Oh, and he's got a really good defense, by the way. So Jimmy is set up in really good prime position. Oh, and of course, they have the ultimate belief in themselves, Joe and Ed, that they can go to Arlington, Texas and knock off the Cowboys and move on to the second round.
Yes, definitely. I do agree. But Ed Smith, I want to ask you with Pittsburgh. They're facing Kansas and
City.
You have Kansas City. Yes, thank you, Ed. And we have Ben. He's not done yet, so he was able to go ahead and overcome, that last game and by pretty much a miracle, be able to go ahead and go into the playoffs and maybe see another day and maybe see another Super Bowl run. What do you think that this means for Ben and his career, being that he's, it's coming to an end?
Well, the Steelers are playing with house money. I mean, all odds were stacked against them going into the final week. There were so many things that had to work out in their favor. Indianapolis had to lose. Who saw that coming? And then the game in Vegas couldn't end in a tie, and it almost did. So you talk about 9 lives. They have 9.5 lives. The thing for the Steelers, they know, here's the thing. A lot of teams try to fake how good they think they are. Or, the Steelers know how good they are right now. They are not what you would call a championship team by any stretch of the imagination. They're scraping along, just trying to do whatever they can to stay alive. The thing is, they've done that. Now, in the second season, you're in that locker room, and I know Ben's poor mouthing right now about we don't stand a chance in Kansas City. You know what? We're just going to go over there. We're going to take our beating and go on. They know in that locker room, they are 3 games away from the Super Bowl. And their main goal is 1 game at a time. You never know what can happen. And I'm like I said, you can pour mouth all you want. I guarantee you Mike Tomlin is not leading the group saying, hey, dudes, hey, we're just lucky to get here. And, hey, let's all just have a group hug because it's been a great season. We can go over there to Kansas City. Let's have some fun. Let's have some good barbecue and, play the game. And what, man, I'm telling you, it's in that locker room. They think they have just as much a chance to win this game, which, like I said, at this time of the season, anything can happen. And that's all you can hope for, 1 week at a time. Now, do I think they're going to win? Heck no. But like I said, I didn't think Jacksonville was going to be Indianapolis. So who knows what might happen. And as far as the Steelers go, as far as Ben goes, I mean, he's riding this. He knows the team is more pulling him than he's pulling the team right now, but he'll enjoy it while he can. He gets an extra week to bask in the glow, the adulation, the interviews, and all that kind of stuff. When it's all said and done, he'll go out like a champ, 2-time Super Bowl champion, do all the interviews and everything like that, and walk off into the sunset like some of the other greats have. But I guarantee you, he's enjoying the heck out of getting at least 1 more week to do his thing. And like I said, from here, who knows what could happen.
Yeah, and another thing too, not to add any more pressure to Ben at all, but he's, probably can even close to make, or he'll be making history if he does go ahead and come up with that win against Kansas City. With the win, Ben Roethlisberger would be for the quarterback for the 3rd most playoff wins by a starting quarterback in NFL history, and so that would put him ahead of, or would tie actually, with Terry Bradshaw, John Elway, and Peyton Manning. And to add to that, he would surpass, along with Aaron Rodgers, Hall of Famer Brett Favre, and Joe Montana as the all-time postseason passing yards list. So, there's even more to kind of bask in that glory if he does come up with that victory.
Yeah, that's great accomplishments. Yeah, you go ahead, Ed.
It is, and it's going to be very hard because you've got to go to Kansas City, Missouri, and you've got to face that dude, Patrick Mahomes.
The alien.
Yeah, the $500 million man. And this is a team that's red hot. Kansas City, they've won 9 of their last 10 games. Remember back when they were 2-3, Joe and Ed, and everybody was kind of counting out Kansas City. Oh, what's wrong with the Chiefs? This is a team. Yeah, Joanna was one that counted them out. Oh my gosh, did the Super Bowl? Did they have some lag over from that Super Bowl loss to Tampa Bay? What's going on with the Chiefs? Oh, all of a sudden Patrick just turns it on and the Chiefs win 9 out of 10 and they are red hot going into the playoffs. But it's going to take a monumental effort for the Steelers to go to Missouri and knock off KC and continue on in the playoffs. But Ed, you know better than Joe and I how the fortunes can change in the midst of a sporting contest because you've been through it and you've seen it all.
Well, I mean, I'll be quite honest. When we, 98, the 99 playoffs, we were 11-point dog going up to Minnesota. The only people that thought we were going to win were the 53 guys and coaches within our locker room. So, I know what it's like to feel like the lamb going into the slaughter, and then when you go in there and you punch the bully in the face and the nose and you come out with the victory, it's that much sweeter. But like I said, I guarantee you there's not one team that qualified for the playoffs all the way down to the Raiders and the Steelers that are thinking anything other than one game at a time, and we could be in the Super Bowl. And that's the great thing about the postseason in the NFL is it all gets whittled down to the best of the best. And now anything can happen. And I guarantee there's going to be at least one upset this week. Everybody who thinks it's going to be chalk, it's like, everybody, when they fill out their NCAA tournament brackets, they're like, this is the perfect seat right here. In the first weekend, you start crumbling them things up and throwing them in the trash because chalk does not work when you get to this level of competition as far as sports. And somebody is, you can go through the games and pick them. Somebody, one of those top seeds or somebody with home field advantage is going to get upset this weekend. And that's the beauty of the playoffs in the NFL.
Yep. And going back to that Patriots-Bills, could the Bills be one of those teams that could get upset? Could Mac Jones and the Patriots go into Orchard Park and knock off the Bills? It's possible. That's another team that was counted out, Joe and Ed. The Patriots, they didn't start off the way that the Patriots usually start off when they were under Tom Brady. But Mac and we know Mr. Belichick, Coach Belichick knows how to rally a football team together, and my gosh, they went on a run, and New England's, they are one of the teams with supreme confidence going into the playoffs, knowing that they're riding the coattails of that rookie quarterback, and Mac Jones has exceeded expectations.
Well, the other thing that comes into play here is that the playoffs, they're one-game scenarios. You give somebody like a Bill Belichick a week to prepare. He's going to come up with every wrinkle you can imagine. And that's the thing. You can throw all game plans out the window at this point. It's all about this one game affair. Everything is on the table because we might have our backs up against the wall and it might call for us, fake punt on our own 20-yard line, or whatever it is. It comes down to what do I have to lose and what do I have to gain? So I guess, this is desperation. I call this is the equivalent of, and I'm not a fan of, we all know Michael Vick got put away from this dog fighting, right? You get them dogs so riled up, you throw a piece of raw meat in the middle of that, whatever they fight in, and those two dogs haven't eaten in 2 weeks, they're going to fight for that piece of meat. And that's exactly what the trophy is. The NFL, the Lombardi trophy, and all that's a piece of meat that every dude on all teams they want. And they're going to go in there and fight, and it'll be interesting. Like I said, one-game scenarios, who comes up with the best game plan, and who executes those game plans for their coaching staff.
And that'll be an interesting matchup, Joe and Ed. Obviously, they're division rivals, and this will be the third time since December 6th that they will have met this season. New England went up to Buffalo, beat them 14-10 a few weeks ago. Buffalo got revenge, beat them by 12. So division rivals meeting up in the playoffs. That should be some exciting football up in New York on Saturday.
Yeah, when it comes to a rivalry game, there's nothing better than that. But I do want to go ahead. I know we're running a little short on time with you at Smith, but I want to go ahead and I have to talk Tom Brady, Tampa Brady. They'll be playing the Eagles. You're one of your teams there. So I have to ask this is the whole kind of news and the what if and Tom Brady and the Buccaneers trying to aim for a repeat Super Bowl, which would be the first team if Tom Brady is able to go ahead and pull that feat, that would happen or would occur since New England in 2004. So, and Tom Brady, he just seems like there's nothing that's stopping him and just keeps getting better. It's been, a conversation all across the board with, everywhere and everyone. So how do you see Tampa going in against the Eagles this weekend? And is it doable? Do we possibly see another, repeat Super Bowl for Tom Brady now with Tampa Bay?
Well, I'll answer the first question. Tampa, and they better be cautious going into this game because they played the Eagles earlier this season. The Eagles are a different team. I think they've kind of established their own identity, something that they were fighting early in the year. Their head coach, he comes out, thinks every quarterback has to drop back, throw the ball 40 plus times, kind of realized that Hurst is not that dude. So they, turned and made the pivot more to a running offense, which is kind of against all curves. Here in this modern day of football, you can't run the football. You got to now. If you got the talent to run the football, go ahead and do it. The Eagles have since made that pivot. They're a different team. The thing for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they've been through so much BS over the last few weeks and months with the AB stuff and injuries and this, that, and the other thing. You would think that a normal team could possibly lose their focus if it was somebody else other than Tampa Bay 12, as you call them, however you call them. I would think there's a possibility they could slip. Not Tom Brady. Tom Brady is crossing every T twice, dotting every I 3 times. He knows what his goal is. He's going to make sure that every dude down to the long snapper and third string DB on that team knows how important this is to him and how important it should be to them. He's going to go out there, and I think they're going to handle their business. But, I mean, as far as repeating, the fact that the last time it was done was when you mentioned, and it was Tom Brady all those years ago, Joe, and you think that he's won 6 of them with the New England, and then another obviously with Tampa Bay. But in that 6, he only repeated once. So that shows you how difficult and how tough it is, especially in today's age of free agency and salary caps and all that kind of stuff, how difficult it is to do. And I know it's not lost on him, but if anybody can do it, it would be Tom. The problem is if you happen to win 1 and 2, your third dance of the night would be in Green Bay against that dude they call Aaron Rodgers. And you'll have my man say that mama, there go that man again. It's gonna be, that was honestly, I know you might not want to see that. Boy, you talking about,
I do and I don't.
Oh my goodness. You talking about, let's get your popcorn ready and get the caramel and the cheese powder and everything. You better have it all ready for that one. That would be a classic.
And the tequila shots. The tequila shots.
Yeah.
I'm gonna need a lot of those.
Don't forget the lime. Don't forget the lime and the salt. Got that lime.
Of course,
and salt.
Can't do it without the lime and the salt.
And that would be interesting because it would be the second consecutive year that Tom would go up to Lambeau and have a chance to knock off Aaron and the Packers on their way to the Super Bowl. So we'll see what happens. But for the Eagles, they have the number 1 rushing attack in the National Football League. So for them, they need to establish the run with Miles Sanders and Jalen Hurts. If they want to control the football, control the time of possession, Ed, we know that's paramount. Keep number 12 off the field. If Philadelphia is going to win this game, they've got to win the time of possession battle. They've got to take care of every possession that they have. And when they have it, they've got to score because Tom can march down the field better than anybody and get his guys in the end zone because he's got a wealth of talent. He's got weapons at his disposal. As you mentioned, even though, they went through the whole AB situation, Tom just kind of brushes that off and he's like, okay, got to go back to business.
Philly is another team. They don't care how ugly or pretty it is they just want to get the dub. And if they make this a game, because obviously there's a huge spread on this one, if they make this a game, it's not going to be one of those ones that you're going to have a whole lot of pretty highlights. This is going to be grimy, ugly, and that's how Philly will want to play it.
Very, very messy.
Yes.
How I see it. Yes. And then last question for you, Ed Smith, before we let you go. I ask, but yes, I will. Who you want to see in the Super Bowl? Not your prediction, but who you want to see.
Who do I want to see?
Yes.
Wow, that is a great question.
Joe, can we shift that for a minute, because we need to get his take on Cardinals Rams before he goes to the Super Bowl picks.
Okay, I'll give you that one real quick. I did the podcast for Believe Podcast just a little bit ago, and unfortunately, I'm leaning toward Rams in this one just because of how the Cardinals have played down the stretch, the opportunities they lost. They should be hosting a game rather than going to LA to play. I've not been impressed with this 4-6 slide down the ramp. And if I'm going, I know the Rams just lost, but they lost to their kryptonite San Francisco 49ers. Rams have been our kryptonite, minus that win we got earlier in the season. I just don't see us going over there. And they've surprised me before. They went over to Dallas, got that win a couple weeks ago. I was totally shocked about that, but I don't see them coming away with the win here. I'm looking at a score somewhere like 27 to 23, 24. Rams come out with it for many different reasons, but that's my pick on that one. As far as Joe's question, that is such a good question, Joe. Because
I never give the easy questions, do I, Ed?
Well, the reason it's so good is because I have like many fantasy like scenarios of what I would like to see as the last game. It'd be great to see a matchup with the Mahomes and Buccaneers, but also how cool would it be to see the Kansas City with Aaron Rodgers, that dude, have him square off? Or how cool would it be to see somebody like the Bills get in there after all these years against maybe 49ers or something like that, Or what scenario where the Cardinals could somehow get the ship righted and make the run? Oh, my goodness.
As long as it's not against the Steelers.
Yeah,
I do not want to have that nightmare all over again.
I would have to say, if I had the dream matchup, I would actually want to see Tom Brady and the Patriots, or Tom Brady and the Buccaneers this time match up again with Kansas City and the Chiefs, believe it or not. I'd like to see a rematch. Because I kind of feel like Kansas City, they didn't come with their full game last year. It was almost like they were, I don't know what happened. That was, but it'd be interesting to see both of them full strength going at it again, two heavyweight champions fighting it out. So that would, and I know that's kind of boring for a lot of people, but that's the way I'd have to go. Thanks.
I thought you were going to say Patriots, because I thought you were going to say, you're siding with Julian Edelman, because he put $100,000 for the Super Bowl for the Patriots and the Bucks to face off.
Man,
I was going to say, did you join him in on that bet?
If I had that kind of money just to blow, I would actually go and blow it somewhere for real, not putting on a game or a scenario like that. We all three of us would be on a boat somewhere with margaritas and tequila until we couldn't see straight anymore.
Sign me up for that.
There you go. If I hit the lottery, you guys be ready, because we jumping on a plane and we're hitting it.
All right.
Sounds good. I like that. All right, Ed. Well, thank you. I know we can keep on talking sports and baseball and football, everything, but I do want to go ahead and do let you go. I know you've had a long day and long evening.
I appreciate you guys as always. Always a pleasure. Two of my favorite people. And like I said, we'll talk about everything soon, and still want to have you guys on Come on Easy Sports Talk show soon too. Okay.
Definitely. Anytime, and then we'll meet up for that tuna salad.
There you go. There you go.
Whoa. I don't know about that. You didn't cue me in on tuna salad.
You messed up. Joanne, you messed up and mentioning food in front of Ed. So.
I know, right? Darn it.
All right. Love you guys. I'll talk to you soon.
All right, bro.
Good night.
Thank you, brother.
I'll fill you in on that one later, Ed.
Okay.
Does not deviate here. But let's go ahead and go back to the Cardinals, since we closed that off with Ed Smith, and he did give us his take. But it is going to be a heck of a game come Monday night.
You were right the first time.
And the Cardinals.
You were right the first time.
I'm trying to keep it clean, but yes, it's going to be a hell of a game. There. So this is going to be Kyler Murray's test. Like when you're in college and you have the finals that at the end of the year. This is it for Kyler Murray. This is his pivotal moment in his test of how he's gonna have to adjust and do things probably that he's never done before. He's gonna have to run the ball more. He's gonna have to do everything in this game for the Cardinals to win. It's going to be the test of his life against the Rams.
And for them to repeat what they did earlier in week 4 when they went out to SoFi Stadium and beat the Rams by 17, they ran the ball. They had 216 yards rushing that day. Joanna, Chase Edmonds has 120 yards on 12 carries. So they, again, established the run. I think that's going to be key and paramount for the Cardinals on Monday night. They've got to establish that running game. They've got to get back to that smash mouth football. They got to be able to take it to Aaron Donald in that Rams defense. We know Jalen Ramsey is one of the best cornerbacks in football, if not the best in the league. But I don't think Kyler Murray I don't think he can be afraid of throwing in the direction of Jalen Ramsey. You can't let a man like that just shut down half of your football field just because he is that great. You've got to be able to challenge that guy. So use your talents. Use AJ Green and Christian Kirk and Antoine Wesley, all these guys, Zach Ertz. You've got to be able to get the ball to your weapons. And again, get that running game established. Win that time of possession that we talked about earlier in the game. And every possession you have, or the great majority, as many as you can, Joanna, you've got to be able to punch it in for 6. Because, again, we know the Rams have an outstanding offense, and they can score at will, too. You know, just like Tom Brady and the Patriots can drive down and the Buccaneers can drive down and get scores. That's another offense. Matthew Stafford can light it up on a defense if you let him. So you've got to be able to get some scores and, again, win that time of possession battle. Keep Stafford and that offense off the field and run down that Rams defense. Make them tired, and then eventually, hopefully, you can win the game. You know, limit the turnovers and do the best job that you can in 60 minutes of football.
Yeah, those turnovers that you just mentioned, those are going to be important, that they cannot happen for the Cardinals. The rushing, which we've talked, and that's been a major problem for the Arizona Cardinals, establishing that rushing game. They need to capitalize on that. They need to improve upon it. And yes, Kyler Murray, he needs to be more confident. He's not confident enough, I don't think. And if he gets in a jam, like we saw that he did it for a portion of the game this last week, where he was like, okay, I can't throw, or he didn't have an opening. What did he do? He ran the ball. And that's what he needs to do more of. Once he stopped doing that, what happened in the game? So things
started happening. Yes.
Yeah, things started happening, and not good things. It ended up being bad for the Cardinals. And when they could have improved and capitalized on it, he needs to also throw long. He does not throw very long. So I think that's going to be, those are going to be the key points for the Cardinals to work on, leading up to Monday night's game. So with those Rams, they have pretty much everything, in their power, and whatever, weapon they pull out, that's it for them. They just can capitalize on it. Their defense is the Cardinals' kryptonite when it comes to facing the Rams on Monday.
Yes. I mean, that Rams defense has been everybody's kryptonite for the last couple of years since Sean McVay's taken over. And that guy, 99, that guy on that defensive line for the Rams, he is an absolute monster. That guy, number 5 back there in the back in the secondary for the Rams, monster, stud. My goodness gracious. But we'll see what happens. We'll see what the health of James Conner is for Monday night, and if he's ready to go. We know we saw he was banged up in that Seahawks game just a couple of days ago. So it would help if James Conner was healthy or as close to 100 as it could be possibly, to, again, as we mentioned, establish that running game. You've got to be able to get that thing going. He had 15 rushes against Seattle for 52 yards. So they tried to get that running game started. They gave him 15 rushes, 15 carries. And we'll see. Will they mix in Eno Benjamin? Who knows? What's going to happen with this running game? And it really does hurt. It's hard to replace it. DeAndre Hopkins is irreplaceable, Joanna. And I think that's really affected Murray. Not having his number one weapon out there, that would affect any quarterback, Joanna. Not having one of the top 5 wide receivers in this game at your disposal, like he's been used to having for the last couple of seasons. When you don't have him, it makes you a different quarterback. You've got to go with other players on your roster that you may or may not be that much more comfortable with than you would have been with DeAndre Hopkins in your lineup. So again, does it go on Antoine Wesley? Does Zach Ertz gets more play? Does Christian Kirk get more looks? Does AJ Green get more looks? Kyler Murray's got to be able to be confident in all of those men and say, okay, fellas, I'm riding and dying with you guys. I've been with you for 18 weeks. Let's go for week 19 in the playoffs and let's make this thing happen. Let's go to LA and bust this thing out.
I hope so. You mentioned it, you read my mind, and that's where I was going to go with this next is Hopkins. How, about how much of a loss that's been to the Cardinals and to Murray. And also JJ Watt, that's been tremendous and huge. And he, bringing in those sacks, and being for the Cardinals to be able to go ahead and capitalize on that and be able to run the ball back. So, it doesn't seem like he does a lot, but you actually have been able to notice and see it a lot more, with JJ being out. You mentioned Hopkins in his role there. So yes, definitely going to be a lot of adjustments that they've had to go through, and even more. And I just hope that they do what they need to against the Rams on Monday night, and then hopefully we're able to go ahead and see JJ Watt return in the playoffs and be able to go ahead and see him in his first playoffs with the Arizona Cardinals. And that's what I would want. And that's what I was excited to have JJ with the Cardinals and take us to the playoffs, maybe a Super Bowl, who knows, and seeing him in his JJ Watt fashion. And I want to see that. So Kyler Murray and the Arizona Cardinals give us what we want to see. And we've been dying and vying for since getting these two great players.
And what a difference Watt would make if he's out there on Monday night, Joanna, from an inspirational standpoint and from a leadership standpoint. You trot out a Hall of Famer and JJ Watt on that defensive front seven, and just watch that defense become it'll transform into something different because he's out there and he's a presence, of course, just like my gosh, he is just something else when he's out there. And for me, that defense needs to be much better against the run. We saw Seattle gash them on Sunday. Rashad Penny had almost 200 yards rushing and a touchdown. A 62-yard was his high. They've got to be able to stop that running game from the Rams. As much as we want the Cardinals to establish their running game, you've got to be able to stop the Rams. We know Cam Akers is back. They've got a really good running attack, the Rams do. We know that Stafford's got so many guys he can throw the ball to, but they can run the football as well. So you got to be able to stop him and Sony Michel. Stop that running attack for the Rams and make them one-dimensional. Make Matthew Stafford beat you. Make Budda Baker and that entire secondary, good young secondary. Those guys have got to step up and make plays. If you're going to make that offense of the Rams one-dimensional, the onus is going to be on that defense to stop Matthew Stafford and all of his weapons. And, of course, it will be led by Budda Baker back there in that secondary if it's going to be a passing contest.
Hey, Ed, I have an idea. With everything that you just said, why don't you go and help coach the Cardinals on Monday night so they can beat the Rams?
I would love to go to LA. Put me on the charter. I will go out there with the boys.
Just saying, you make some great points, and I agree with you 100%.
It would be awesome. I would
saying,
be honored. I would love to go to SoFi and be one of the assistant coaches.
And then I'll be your assistant just to go along to SoFi and see the amazing stadium that is in person.
Oh, yes.
It's a gem. That place is a gem, and I'm dying to just go there and just be in its presence.
And I'm just hoping and praying, Joanna, that we get the Super Bowl there. There's always, of course, been talk about them moving it to Arlington, back to AT&T Stadium. But we know, obviously, that stadium was built for the Rams and the Chargers. But that third event, that major event, this Super Bowl, that's one of the main reasons why LA was built to be a major football home, and that stadium was built. They spent $5 billion, ideally, obviously, for the two football teams, but for the Super Bowl to come there. And it would really suck if they had to move the game because of what we're living through with this pandemic, with the Omicron, and we don't know what the governor of California is going to do, and if this thing will change and they do move it to Arlington. But I would love to have it there at SoFi.
Yeah, then as it stands, there's no moves happening as of yet. Everything still stands for it to stay as is. Hopefully between now and February, which is 13, that the Super Bowl will take place, that nothing changes and that it does stay. So we'll just keep our fingers crossed.
Yes.
But we're coming down to the last few minutes of the show, Ed. I want to ask.
Are we going to do our picks for Saturday, Sunday, and Monday?
Yes, you read my mind. So I will go ahead and lead off with you. Let's go ahead and do one match at a time. I'll have you go
Uh-huh.
first, and then I'll go next for each match as we move
Uh-huh.
through the list.
Okay.
So for Vegas, the Las Vegas Raiders and Cincinnati Bengals, who's your pick?
I'm going with the Bengals. I think Joe Burrow and his offense are going to be too much for the Raiders to withstand. I think Jamar Chase is going to have a breakout game in his first playoff game as a rookie. Joe Burrow's first playoff game since he's come to the Bengals. I think Cincinnati's going to hold court at home, and they're going to get that victory. They're going to knock off Las Vegas.
Okay. I'm going to go with the Raiders. So they've been scrappy. They came into the playoffs, kind of like under the radar and not expecting, to make an appearance, and a lot of people counting them out. I know I did, but I think this is going to be a good game, and I go for the Raiders in this one.
And I can see where you're coming from with everything they've been through with the whole Gruden situation and them, and the whole thing with Henry Ruggs. They had to deal with that situation, that scenario with Henry Ruggs III, and everything they've been through for them to get to this point and them beat the Los Angeles Chargers the way they did last Sunday night. They could have tied the game, but were it not,
I was actually rooting for a tie.
Were it not for Brandon Staley. Were it not for Coach Staley taking that timeout with 38 seconds to go, the Raiders were content to get that tie, Joanna, because they both would have made the playoffs. But I don't know what Coach Staley was thinking. He calls a timeout, and that changes the whole scenario for how the Raiders are trying to play this thing, and they go for the win, and they get it. Crazy.
Yeah, that was insane. All right. So New England Patriots and the Buffalo Bills.
My. You know what? I'm going with the Bills. I'm going with Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills to knock off their division rivals.
This isn't easy.
It's not easy.
I want to go for the Bills because they've just been able to prove a lot of people wrong and just been able to go ahead and turn it around from the Buffalo Bills that was to what it is now. And
they are going against Belichick. Oh my!
Exactly.
Goodness.
There's that too. New England. Mac Jones. He, like you said, he's surpassed expectations, and it is Bill Belichick.
And that defense is outstanding for New England. They've got a really good defense too.
And I'm gonna go and go with. I'm gonna go with New England. I have to go with Belichick. It's kind of hard to go against Belichick. You know that.
I can't hate on that. No.
All right. Moving on to Sunday. Philadelphia Eagles and Tampa Brady Buccaneers. Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
I've got the Buccaneers. Although I think the Eagles will give them a good game. I think Tom and the Buccaneers are going to come out eventually. Brady is just going to lead them to a victory because he knows they are in the precipice of something really special. As you mentioned, if they win the Super Bowl, they'd be the first team since they did it back in 2004 to go back to back. That hasn't happened in 18 years.
Yeah.
2004. Yeah, it's 18 years.
18 years. So, see, and I almost had you say it too. I'm going to go with Tampa Brady. See, at Tampa Brady, it's a team. Tom Brady is his own team. Seriously. But yes, I'm going to go with him, and he's definitely has something there. And I think it's like Ed said, if to be the one to do it, it's definitely Tom Brady.
Yes.
So I'm going to go, and I cannot back out from supporting Tom Brady all the way. I'm a Tom Brady fan, and I'm not rooting against Tom Brady because you know what happens when you root against Tom Brady?
He always comes out on top.
Exactly. So
he always wins, and also, my heart's with Bruce Arians. I know your heart is with Bruce and how great he was when he was here with the Cardinals. It was great to see him win the Super Bowl last year. I love me some Bruce Arians. So whatever Bruce can do to get even more wins, keep stacking wins over there, Coach.
Definitely. All right, moving to San Francisco, go to the Bay Area. Well, not Bay Area because I won't be there, but San Francisco 49ers and Dallas Cowboys.
I mean, Joe, you can go to Santa Clara if you want. You can go to Levi's Stadium and see if you can get in for a football game. I don't think that'll work out too well for you because they're going to be in Arlington, Texas.
Yeah.
But I like this matchup. So many great matchups over the years between the 49ers and the Cowboys in the playoffs. So many great NFC championship games and playoff games between these two football teams. But when it's all said and done, I'm going with the 49ers. I agree with Ed. I think they're going to go to Arlington, to AT&T Stadium, and they're going to scrap their way to a victory, just like they did last Sunday at SoFi. They're going to go to Arlington and knock off the Cowboys. I like the 49ers.
Yep, I'm with my Eds as well. If you didn't already tell earlier, I'm a Jimmy fan and I always root for Jimmy. And great to see him come this far finally, and seeing him in the playoffs, and hopefully is able to go ahead and come further down that stretch. So definitely San Francisco Niners and Jimmy on that.
Joe, it's time for him to show and prove. He's made a lot of money in this league. The 49ers paid him a ton of money. Yes. And it's time for him to take the 49ers to the promised land, or as close as he can take them, because the clock is ticking on what Jimmy Garoppolo's career could be with the 49ers.
Definitely, or not.
Or not, yes.
All right, moving on to Pittsburgh Steelers facing off Kansas City Chiefs. So what do you have? You're going to go for Big Ben, or you're going to go with the alien and Mahomes?
I can't bet against 15 in his own building. I got to go with Patrick and the Chiefs over the Steelers. Although, like I say, the Eagles are going to scrap their way against the Buccaneers, even though I think they're going to fall. I think the Steelers are going to give the Chiefs as much as they can over the course of 4 quarters. But I think ultimately the Chiefs are going to win that game. So I'm going with Mahomes and the Chiefs.
All right. I'm going to go against you on this one. I'm going for Big Ben.
Ooh.
I'm going for that story for him, and seeing him, in his last dance, and pushing him, or rooting for him, giving him that push.
So how are they going to go to KC and win? What's their key to victory then? It's hard to win in that building.
I know it's hard to win in that building.
How are they going to do it? Maybe take a page out of what Tampa Bay did to Patrick and the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. You got to pressure Patrick. You got to stay on him the entire game. It's going to be. I use the word monumental. It's going to be a monumental task for that Steelers defense to get to Patrick and knock him off his game.
Yeah, and it's not. I know it's not going to be an easy game at all. None of these are going to be easy games whatsoever. But I would like to see Big Ben go for that win and see how far he can make it in his last season.
Oh, from a sentimental standpoint, I'd love for Ben to beat the Chiefs and move on. And I know his teammates are going to do whatever they can to make that possible, because they know this is Ben's last hurrah. If they don't win on Sunday night, it's over. His career is over. He's done.
Yep. All right. The best for last, Arizona Cardinals facing off Los Angeles Rams. So, moment of truth, Ed. You're going to stick with the home team, or you're going to turn your back and go to the rival team?
I think the Cardinals are going to win. I do.
Ooh.
Yes. I think they're going to.
Murray and company is going to be able to pull that off?
Yes. I think they're going to be able to recreate what got them to that 7-0 start. Recreate what they did in week 4 when they went to SoFi. Again, if they establish that running game and Murray can have a great, outstanding day, get the ball to his weapons, and that defense get to Matthew Stafford and make it uncomfortable for him, I think the Cardinals have a great shot at it. And these kind of playoff games, it's going to be a tight one, so it could come down to special teams. Joanna, is Matt Prater set up for a potential game-winning field goal if it does come down to it? As we know, those are division rivals, so it very well could come down to the last possession. It could be one of those tight matchups, Joanna, when it does come down to special teams, or a play here or there, a turnover here or there, a stop on third down defensively for the Cardinals to take the Rams off the field, to give Murray and his guys another shot. So it's going to be possession by possession, but who's going to have the most positive possessions for their football team? Will it be the Cardinals or the Rams? I'm going with Arizona, to be honest. I'm going with the Cardinals for the upset in Los Angeles.
Okay.
Or I should say Inglewood. In the wood. Okay, Joe. It's Joe's turn. Okay.
I know. This is the hardest decision I've had to make today. You know that? I want so badly for the Arizona Cardinals to win, to prove me wrong, and make me happy, seeing them advance from the wild card. But then the Los Angeles Rams do what the Rams do and play freaking amazing football in that freaking defense, which is an Achilles heel for them. Huge. But then I also look at the history on when they played Monday playoff games in the Super Bowl era for the Rams. So they've lost 2 and they've won 1 of the last 3.
On Monday night playoff games?
Yes.
Oh, really? I didn't know the Rams played 3 Monday night playoff games in their history.
Yep.
Really?
2022 is going to be their 4th one, but it was December 1988 for NFC wildcard. LA Rams at Minnesota. 1983 NFC wildcard again. That was also in December, same day, 26 on 1983 at Dallas Cowboys. Yeah, and then it's 1977 for the divisional NFC, also December 26, Minnesota at Rams. So they lost against the Vikings. They won against Dallas at Dallas. And then they lost against Minnesota at Minnesota. So I am... do I have to, Ed?
Yes.
What's the Rams record at home again?
They are looking at record. The Rams are at home during the season. They were 5-3. Of course, one of those losses coming to the Cardinals. 5-3. They're beatable there at SoFi. And we saw them just lose to the 49ers on Sunday. It can happen.
I'm going to go for the Cardinals.
Why?
Because damn. I'm so torn. I'm like so 50-50 on this, Ed. It's not easy.
The thing is, if the Rams get up, we know how good they are once they get to halftime, although the 49ers were the first team to beat them after they, when they had a halftime lead. But that is such a well-coached football team.
You know what?
They got talent everywhere. Uh-oh. You switching?
I'm switching. I'm going to the Rams. I think the Rams will beat Arizona. I don't want them to, but I think that's what's going to happen. That's my prediction. I want Arizona Cardinals to win, but I think the Rams are going to come on top. I hope the Cardinals will prove me wrong. I just think because of all the reasons that we mentioned earlier, that it's going to be very hard for the Cardinals unless they're able to go ahead and put all those pieces together and for them to work. If I was sure that Hopkins and JJ would be playing on Monday night, I would say, okay, that Cardinals do definitely stand a chance against the Rams, but I can't. Now with all the weapons that the Rams have and that spectacular defense.
Yeah, if they cannot keep arguably the best wide receiver this season, they cannot keep Cooper Kupp in check. We saw what he did against the 49ers. He had 120 yards, 118. The kid had almost 2,000 yards receiving this year, Joanna. So he is an absolute threat for the Rams. And we got Tyler Higbee, Van Jefferson. We got Odell Beckham Jr. there, of course. We talked about Akers and Sony Michel in the backfield. So, oh my gosh, it's very scary what Matthew Stafford has at his disposal. But again, it's imperative that the defense get to Matthew Stafford and pressure him and force him into doing things that he's not used to doing and things that he does not want to do, like throw the ball away, force turnovers, try to get outside the pocket. Matthew Stafford's not the most mobile quarterback, so keep him on the run and force the issue on him. Do not let Stafford sit back there in the pocket with a nice adult beverage in his hand, giving him that kind of time to do what he needs to do. if
Right.
if the Cardinals cannot get pressure on him, then they're going to have a long afternoon, a long night, I
Mhm.
should say, in Inglewood.
Yes. So that's my prediction, and I'm sticking to it. Cardinals, please prove me wrong. But you know what? As we go ahead and wrap this up, I just want to mention that both teams, the Rams and the Cardinals, their quarterbacks, they were first NFL draft picks.
Yeah. Mhm.
So pretty cool.
Yeah, a long time ago, Matthew Stafford was a top pick. Yes, he was.
Mhm. By Detroit in 2009.
Wow.
Mhm.
13 years ago. Wow,
And
time flies.
this will be the fourth ever first round playoff game featuring two starting quarterbacks, each selected number one in the NFL draft.
That's interesting.
Mhm.
Oh, and we should make note that the teams on a bye this week, your Green Bay Packers and the Tennessee Titans, the number one seeds
Yes.
in each conference. So the Titans and the Packers have the weekend off as they get ready to see who they're going to host next weekend.
Mhm. We'll come back to that one next week. How about that?
Yeah, let's get
Let's
through these
take 1 week and one game at a time, Ed.
Yeah, let's get through these 6 games, then we can worry about the second weekend of the playoffs after that.
Check on me on Monday night after the game, please.
Oh gosh. That's going to be something.
All right, Ed. So go ahead and let everyone know, our awesome people, where it is that they go ahead and find you.
Yeah, so on Twitter at EdCole43, IG at EdwardCole301, on Facebook, Edward Cole, and of course here on Inside Sports Talk. And once we get our schedules together with brother PLR, it'll be back there in the Sports Cave. Once you and I can get our schedules together, we can coordinate with him so we can get on his show. We'll both be back on the Sports Cave.
Yes, definitely. You can follow me, Joanna Roselli, on both Instagram and Twitter at JRoselli. That's JROSALYE. You can also find me on the La Mejor for the Sun's color commentary. Check us out on there. Tune in. Look us up there. 1400 AM or 106.5 FM Phoenix. Phoenix style for radio. And then you can also find Insight Sports Network on Instagram at Insight Sports Net. You can find us on Twitter at Insight Sports _. And this was Insight Sports Talk. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Until next time.